right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started, man. So want to welcome everybody to the very first episode of From Death Row to Destiny, right? So this is a podcast. We have Mr. Ronnie Young, who I'll be introducing here in just a moment. But just a quick disclaimer, all right? This conversation includes details of a very violent crime that happened in 1973, right? We will not be graphic. We will not give you the gory details, but we will be honest. So with that being said, before we start, I need you guys to understand something. This is not a true crime podcast, right? This is not a murder mystery. There is no suspense because a couple died. And a 17-year-old boy was sentenced to die for that. That boy's name is Ronnie Young from Charlotte, North Carolina. 1973, convicted of first-degree murder, sentenced to death row. He is not on death row anymore. He has been released. He's given a second chance on life. But before we start, I need you guys to understand that he has been released, as I stated. He's sitting across from me right now. If you came here for the graphic details or if you here to hear me villainize this man, you're in the wrong place. And if you came here for me to pretend he did nothing wrong, let's face it, you're also in the wrong place. I ask the questions in the style of people who don't flinch, right? That means I'm going to ask him why. It's not to embarrass him. It's not to make him cry for your entertainment, because the only way for us to understand how a child ends up on death row is to go back to the beginning. So we're going to talk to him about his parents. We're going to talk to him about the love that he got, the love that he didn't get, if he got any love at all. All right. We're going to talk about his upbringing, the choices he made at 17, and about the 60 seconds that changed every life that's in this story today. And then we're going to talk about death row. What's it like waiting to die as a teenager and somehow, some way, walking out of that place of man? Ronnie Young has been free for about 16 years now, right?
Correct.
Okay. He's done the work. He's sat with what he done back then, and he's agreed to sit with me, not to be forgiven by you, but to be understood. So here's my only promise. I will not exploit him. I will not let him hide. This is a conversation with Mr. Ronnie Young. So let's listen. Mr. Ronnie, again, man, thank you for meeting with me today. I appreciate that.
No problem.
All right. You in good spirits today?
Always.
All right, man. Love it. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Yeah, man. So before we get started, man, let's talk a little bit about, what you got going on these days.
Man, just trying to serve the Lord, man, working hard and just trying to enjoy life.
I hear that. Well, we can't do any of that without serving the Lord, right?
Correct.
All right. All right. So we're going to jump into it now, right? All right. So now, Ronnie, before we get to 1973, right? Before the handcuffs and before death row, I want to go back a little bit further, right? I want to go back to the very house that you lived in, because most people think a 17-year-old killer just appears out of nowhere. Like it just, like, you just woke up one day and you just like, all right, I'm just going to be Michael Myers today, right? But you and I both know that that's not true. So take me back. Let's start from the beginning here a little bit, right? So who was the first adult that you remember waking up to in the morning? Not necessarily a parent, if it's not, right? But the first person whose voice you heard before you heard anything else.
Well, it had to be, my parents.
Okay.
And then too, at a very young age, I didn't really know anything about spirits.
Got it.
And even today, people don't understand the significance behind spirits.
Absolutely.
In the spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm.
So at that young age, I encountered spirits, but didn't know they was entities.
Wow. Okay. All right. We're going to get back to that in a minute. That's actually pretty deep. It's pretty deep that you talked about that. So tell me about, let's talk about the origin of your parents even, right? So tell me a little bit about your grandparents, right? If you know, right? If you have those memories, right? So like on your mother's side, on your father's side, where did they live? What they do for work? Most importantly, the question I have for you is, did they know you were hungry before you even said a word?
I guess so. I could say that they did.
Okay.
You want to talk about my grandmother and them. You know, one of my grandmothers was a madam.
Wow.
You know,
A madam?
a madam.
Like
You know.
in the I guess I could say it in the whorehouse, right?
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
and my other grandmother was a bootlegger.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So I grew up in that environment.
Okay.
You know, as a child, I really didn't understand it. You know, I considered it as being fun because when the adults in the bootlegger house got drunk, my sister and I, we would drink their liquor.
Wow.
You know,
So wait, hold on. How old was you at this age?
man, I was probably about 7 years old.
You was 7 years
Yeah,
old
probably
drinking
about
bootleg
7
corn
years
liquor,
old.
man.
Yeah, man.
Wow. So some kids get a grandparent who makes them feel like they're the most important person in the world, right? I know my grandmother, right? That's the grandmother that I had on my mother's side, right? And on my father's side, unfortunately, my father's mother didn't live long in my life. However, you know, other kids get a grandparent that's just, you know, I mean, they just there. So which one did you have, right? Be honest.
Well, I mean, both of mine was there. You know, my mother's mother, you know, she would get all her grandchildren together every Christmas.
Okay.
And whatever we wanted, we got it. Now, my dad's mother, she was the type that, irregardless to what I got into, she would always be a protector. She would always take up for me, even when I was in the wrong,
Okay.
you know. And my mother was like that too. Even if I was wrong, my mom always took up for me.
Okay. So let's talk about your mother, right? So what was her first name?
Her name was Thomasina.
Okay. What did she do during the day while you were at school or while you was on the street? And here's the hard question. Did she look at you like it mattered or like you mattered?
Oh yeah, of course. My mom was a loving person. You know,
Okay.
she always, I would say, catered to me. You know, gave me everything I wanted. And I remember one time I got in trouble, and we was in court, and the judge told my mother, if you keep giving this boy stuff, he's gonna get to the point that when you stop, he's gonna start taking it. You know, but my mom always catered to me, man. Everything I wanted, everything my sister wanted, it was there for us.
Okay.
I didn't know what being poor was like.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow. Okay. So with that being said, describe to me a typical table dinner, right? At your house. Who sat where? Who spoke? Who was silent? And what did the silence mean?
We all sat around the table together. You know, we was more or less silent.
Yeah.
The only person that really made noise was my little sister. Because she had a habit, man. Every time she would eat and the food was good, she'd be humming. And it was real funny, man.
I can relate.
But, you know, the environment, although we didn't talk, you could still feel the love.
Yeah.
Because we ate together as a family.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your father. Was he in the house?
Basically, my father stayed on the road all the time, man. I would see my dad basically on the weekend when he came back in from out of town. Because he would leave on Monday. You wouldn't see him again until on Friday. And then when he came home on Friday, you rarely seen him because he would be out in the bootlegger houses, you know.
So let me ask you this. So what would you say he taught you? Was it by his let me ask you like this, right? What would you say he taught you by his words or by his actions about being a man, if he taught you anything about being a man?
He didn't teach me anything about being a man, but his actions taught me wrong things. You know, I would see him, I would be with him, and I would see him go and mess with this woman and that woman.
Okay.
You know? And he always had a saying that he always believed in having a spare tire.
A spare tire?
Meaning a spare woman.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
So his actions taught me that this is what a man's supposed to do.
Right.
You know, I seen my uncles and stuff, man, jump on their wives.
Oh,
you know.
my goodness.
So this was the environment that I grew up in, and this is what I was taught not by words, but by actions.
Okay. So now I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, right? I'm gonna ask you something a little uncomfortable, right? So when you was 10, 11 years old, right? Did you ever try to get one of your parents' attentions? Sounds like probably, more primarily your father, because that seems to be kind of, the person who really was kind of tapped out a little bit. So like, did you really try to get their attention? Like, did you really try and they just didn't see you? And if that was the case, like, what did you do after that?
I don't think I really tried. My mom was like a provider. That was her way of showing love, by providing for us. My dad, absentee.
Wow.
So I didn't learn anything from him.
Wow. Okay. Was there physical affection in your home? Like, do you remember hugs? Do you remember hearing "I love you" before bed? Like, I mean, and if not, do you remember the first time you realized that other families did that, but yours didn't?
We always had that thing where my mom always showed us that affection.
Okay.
But I didn't know how to take that,
Got it.
Okay. Because of the environment that I came up in. I really didn't know how to accept that, And nobody ever taught me what love was.
Wow.
Okay. My dad, for instance, he showed love by doing for us.
Okay. So he was gift giver.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he never showed that affection. A lot of people that I knew that grew up, their dad would share things with them.
Okay.
Teach them things. My dad never done that.
So you never got like the fishing trips. You never got like the backyard catch games. You never got none of that. Right?
I mean, we went on fishing trips.
Yeah.
But it was still that distance.
I got you.
I would be out there fishing. He'd be over there fishing.
Okay.
It was no conversations.
Okay. So it was just routine.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I'm just doing this just because it's the thing to do, but it really wasn't no actions. I mean, it really wasn't no feelings behind the actions, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Wow. All right. So some people grow up with parents who are actively bad, abusive, and cruel. Other parents grow up with parents who just absent, right, in plain sight. So which one would you say is closer to your truth, and which one hurt more? Now, I asked this because I just heard you say that, you kind of spoke to both dualities of what I just asked you, because you said Pops was in the house, but Pops also, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't affectionate. He wasn't the guy that spoke love into you. And it's like we did things, but it was like, yeah, we just did it just because he can say, you know what I'm saying, I took you, right? But it wasn't like a let's go fishing, but let me teach you how to bait this hook. You know what I'm saying? Let me teach you how to pull that catfish off that line. So what would you say is closer to your truth, right? Was it more active, bad, abusive, cruel, or was it, just Pops was just, he was there, he was just absent in plain sight? So like, which one was more closer to your truth?
I would say abusive, but not towards me.
Okay.
Abusive towards my mother.
Okay.
I seen him beat my mother in the head one time with a stick with nails in it.
Wow.
Another instance, I seen him shoot my mother and my grandmother.
Wait, hold up. Now we're not gonna just glaze over that right quick. So you actually witnessed your father pull out a gun, pull the trigger, and shoot your mom and your grandmother?
What happened was he came home drunk.
Okay.
My mom was in the kitchen cooking. And he wanted her to fix him a sandwich.
Okay.
And she said, well, just wait. She said, I'm fixing dinner. So they got into an argument. And by that time, my grandmother came up to the kitchen to see what they was arguing about.
Okay.
So my grandmother got involved in it and she slapped him. When she slapped him, he pulled out a gun and shot her in the neck. When my mother tried to intervene, he shot her in the leg. The next shot that he shot at her, was over top of her head. You know.
Wow. Hold on. Let's just keep it right there for a minute. Hold up. So first and foremost, you witnessed this?
Yeah.
So you were standing right there when you saw this?
Yeah, right in front of them.
Wow. How old were you?
I was about 7 years old at that time.
7 years old, and you witnessed your biological father pull out a gun and shoot your biological mother, the mother who carried you, the father who helped birth you, and your grandmother. Is this your mom's mother?
Yeah.
And he shot with the intention to kill, because it sounds like the points in which he was aiming at was deadly points. I mean, you shoot somebody in the neck, I mean, which, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later, even with your situation, but you shoot somebody in the neck, like that's, I mean, you got the carotid arteries, you got all kind of things going on in the neck, right? You can sever your spinal cord and things like that. So he had intentions of actually taking their lives that day.
Yeah.
Over a sandwich?
Yeah. But she was fortunate, because when he shot her in the neck, it just grazed her.
So it just grazed her.
It didn't go in her neck. It sort of like went in but came out.
Wow. Wow.
And
more like a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Nothing but God right there, man.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
they both lived?
Yeah.
Obviously. Okay. Wow. So seeing this at the age of 7 years old, man, like how in the world do you process something like that? Like what? I mean, like what? If you can go back to 7 years old, man, like what were you feeling at the time? Like how did you receive that?
I really don't know how I received it. All I know is that from that point on, I grew up with resentment.
Okay, for your father.
Yeah, towards him.
Okay.
I stayed my distance. It was sort of like being in a dream.
Wow.
But
I'm pretty sure that's the way you probably had to protect yourself, by looking at that as a dream, right? I mean, because nowhere in the world you could actually think that this is real, right?
correct. I mean, it was like I just got numb towards life, period. At a very young age, and didn't know that was happening to me,
Wow. Yeah, man, that's devastating, man. I don't know if you ever heard this, if anybody ever told you this, man, but I'm sorry you had to go through that, brother. That's man, that's not something that, a child, let alone, man, that's not something that any human being should ever have to go through, seeing your parents at a major odds like that, man. Wow, that's pretty tough. We're going to shift here a little bit, right? Let's talk about your schooling, okay? Do you remember the elementary school? Well, I know you remember, but so what elementary school did you go to, right? Be specific a little bit for me, right? So name a teacher you remember, and what did that teacher see in you? Did she see good, bad, or anything that your parents didn't see?
I had some very nice teachers.
Okay.
Miss Davidson was one. She tried to help me for school-wise. She tried to show me that love, So it was okay, at that time.
Miss Davidson, right? All right. What school was she at? What elementary school?
Double O's Elementary School.
Oh, you went to Double O's Elementary School, right?
Yeah.
Behind Fairview Homes, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's speed up a little bit. By the time you was 14 years old, all right, was your problem in class?
Yeah, I was a lot of trouble, man. Yeah.
Fighting, disappearing.
Yeah. Not going to school half of the time.
Yeah. Wow. At 14.
At 14,
Wow.
thinking I'm grown,
Yeah.
and not really knowing what grown meant.
Okay.
Sort of like acting out.
Yeah. You was trying to get that attention, but you weren't trying to get that good attention. You was trying, you was trying to get that bad attention. It was any attention at that moment in time, right?
Correct.
I mean, because at the age of 14, right? Let's talk about at the age of 14 at the house, right? Was Pop still at the house at the age of 14?
He was still there, but it was like I said, from the time that happened with my mom and my grandmother,
You grew that resentment.
That still was a distance between us.
Yeah.
You know,
I could only imagine.
And my mom, now when I became 15,
Okay.
my mom allowed me to start smoking cigarettes, you know, and weed, you know.
Okay, so
back then they called it marijuana.
Okay, this was like 1971, right?
Yeah.
Y'all smoking that. They're smoking that hash, is what they call it.
Yeah, we had that too. We had that too.
That grass.
And you know, I got into a lot of things like acid.
Wow.
You know,
at the age of 14, 15?
Yeah. 15.
You was dropping acid at 15?
Yeah, dropping acid, dropping digits. You know.
Wow, man.
Quaaludes. You know.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
man.
At the age of 15, man. Wow. So during all of this, did anyone in school or neighborhood, a counselor, a coach, a principal, did anybody ever pull you to the side and say, Ronnie, what's going on? More importantly, what's going on at home? And if they did, what did you share with them? What did you tell them?
School, to me, wasn't really fun. And the reason why is because I remember when I used to go to Marie G. Davis.
Okay.
And I used to be real good at math, man. I used to love math, right?
Oh, so you're numbers, man.
Yeah, I used to love math.
Okay.
But this what turned me against math. During that time, we were staying in Brook Hill.
Brook Hill, yeah. All right, yeah.
And I was in school one day, and we was turning in our homework, and I was trying to take my homework out the tablet, and I tore it. So instead of me turning it in like that, I started, copying it over. And I got paddled.
Yeah, like spanking? Okay.
Yeah, by the teacher.
Okay.
And every test we had, I mean, girls and boys, every test we had, if you missed a certain amount of spelling words, you got licks.
Wow.
And to me, this was abuse.
Okay. So you transformed that into, so you loved math. And when you made the mistake, you tried to correct your mistake, but you was punished in trying to make it right. So that essentially created a resentment for math and schooling in general. Is
man, totally turned me against math, man.
Wow.
Turned me against school, period. Because how can you get beat in school when school is supposed to be a place you go to learn?
Absolutely. Wow. I'm a parent, right? We have no idea the effects of things that can happen, right? When we think we're doing what's right? So I mean, you're mentioning that you was an advocate for math, you love math, and it was so much to the point to where like you had a mistake. You tried to correct the mistake because you had that much affection for the subject in which you loved that you was punished for it. And so that completely turned you off against it. That's a lesson within itself, man. For us to just challenge ourselves to even think about how we approach certain things at certain times, especially when it comes to kids. So, wow, man, that's deep. That's deep. So were you involved in sports or did you not have a love for like any of that? Was you just at this point, was you just for the streets or what? Like, talk to me about that.
Nah, man, I was a if I can say it, I was a hell of a football player.
Okay. All right. Well, I wasn't too shabby myself. Let's talk about it.
I mean, every game we had, you would hear on the intercom the next day, Ronnie Young ran 170 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ronnie Young ran 160 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
I mean,
man,
you telling me you was out here running 170 yards over cats?
I was so good, man, that this white guy dad used to come to the practice and watch me practice. He never would talk to his own son, but he would sit there and talk to me and watch me practice.
So hold on, this cat's son was actually on the squad?
Yeah.
But he came to see you.
His dad used to come and see me, man.
And ignore his own seed?
Yeah. And then,
you had to be a head turner.
Yeah, I was good, man. And what turned me against that was They had just integrated school down here in Charlotte.
What school was you at this time?
I was at Quail Hollow.
Quail Hollow. Okay, that's on the south side.
Yeah. And after the season was over with, instead of the coaches giving out awards, they allowed the team to vote for who was the most outstanding player of the year, and stuff like this. So all the white guys voted for their friends.
Okay.
It wasn't but 3 black guys on the team.
So the coach put it in the hands of other 12, 13, 14-year-old cats to vote on who they thought was the best on the squad. And here it is, you out here putting up Gale Sayers sweetness numbers against these cats.
Yeah, man.
You already know they hating, man.
Yeah.
You already know what time it is.
So, that put a damper on me.
Okay.
It was almost like nobody is teaching me anything.
Wow.
Not even from my dad. My mom, she didn't know about sports. She would come and watch me,
Yeah.
And it was like the more I tried, the more I got rejected.
Oh, wow.
So I just gave up, man. I gave up. I'm like, what's the use?
Rejection is hell, man.
Yeah, what's the use? What's the use of me even trying?
Yeah. Wow. So something that was birthed in you that actually took you away from all the terrors, all the horrors that you were actually dealing with at home. And because what it sounds like is, I'm no shrink, right? But if I'm a gambling man, I would say that those 170 yards, each and every last one of those yards gained was you pushing back against the adversity of what you was feeling in your life at that moment in time, right? So that was you fighting against your own troubles and your own issues, which made you go even harder, right? Now, I don't want to put those words in your mouth, but if you agree, you agree. If you don't, correct me.
You correct.
Okay.
I looked at football as being an outlet, and the person on the opposite team was a target.
Got it.
When I get this ball, I'm running over you. I'm not going to run around you. I'm running straight over you.
Absolutely.
And this was a release for me, But like I said, when that was taken away from me, I just gave up all hope.
Wow.
And I started turning to the street.
Okay.
At the age of 15, man, here it is. I'm toting a pistol, man.
So you go from carrying the rock to carrying the burner.
Yeah,
Just like that.
Yeah,
And you know what the problem is with that? When you carrying that rock, you gaining yards. You carrying that pistol, you gaining bodies, right?
Correct.
Tough.
I was a prison in my own thoughts.
Talk about that a little bit. So when you say you was a prison in your own thoughts, you was locked in to having a thought process that you couldn't escape?
Didn't want to escape it.
Oh, wow.
I was right. But in actuality, all of my thinking was wrong.
Yeah. It was all you knew.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you think about your education stopping, right? Whether you dropped out or you just checked out, what grade was you in?
Man, when I was in the 9th grade, man, I just didn't care.
You was in the 9th grade. At what school were you at?
South Mecklenburg.
Okay, you was at South Mac. Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't care, man. I very seldom went to class. Had plenty of females. And man, I was just stay out of school and just lay up with the females.
Wow.
And
how old was you at this point in time?
At that point, I was 16.
You was 16.
Yeah. And man, I bet you I didn't go to school 75 days, man. And then when
Hold on, man.
Yeah.
That's more than half the days that are actually in a school year.
Yeah. And then when I did go, man, getting high.
Wow.
And all the females liked me because I had the weed.
So you was, as they call it, as they call it nowadays, you was that dude.
I thought I was.